guys, look who I got back. Hey guys, Laura here from Laura Likes along with Ryan, my husband, and today we're going to be talking about this Harvard article here about homeschooling that if you are in the homeschooling realm, you probably have come across this because it's kind of a hot topic. Matt Fradd just did a video about it. Ben Shapiro's in a response article about it. We thought, as a couple of average homeschooling people, we would give our 2 cents about what we think are some of the crazy things being said in here. We're going to dive right into the article.
So first off, this article is from Harvard Magazine, and the article is written by Erin O'Donnell, and she actually does a very good job as a journalist just telling the story. So she doesn't put in her own opinion. It's really all pretty much an expose of the opinion of this woman named Elizabeth Bartholet, who is the Wasserstein Public Interest Professor of Law and Faculty Director of the Law School's Child Advocacy Program. She's got several other titles too that she's very proud of.
That's true. So before we get into the meat, which there's a lot here, so if this is too long, I'm sorry, but there's a lot to be said. Let's talk about this picture here, and I'll put it up on the screen. I know how to do it. I know how to film now.
What? This is good. Isn't this good? Like this?
Oh my gosh. See it. So let's talk about this picture. So, Ryan, what do you see here?
All right. What I see here is I see a house built out of books, and then there's a child inside behind bars looking forlornly at all the children, happy children outside playing.
They're all doing sports
and
stuff.
When I look at this, I'd think, oh, that poor public school child is stuck inside of a building, and it's this, the walls say reading, writing, math,
and Bible.
Oh, Bible. Okay, so it's, never mind. It's not public school. Weird.
No. So I think the whole idea here, and if you homeschool, you know this is actually backwards. But because there's a Bible here, this is a Christian child, and she's stuck inside books, which of course books are for learning. They are actually freeing, right? Knowledge is power. But she's behind bars because apparently she's stuck in here studying all day, while the public school kids, which for us here, leave at school around 8 and don't get home till about 4, but they're outside playing and having fun and not doing any actual traditional learning here.
In case you don't know and you've never homeschooled before and you don't know what homeschooling is, all right, you know what public schooling is. You know you only get about a half hour to 45 minutes of play during your entire day until you get home. In which case, you got homework, your parents are yelling at you to clean up and do your chores, it's dinner time, you get your homework done, go to bed, and do it all over again.
Right.
All right, for most homeschool children, that is not the case. They get a way more playtime to run around outside than any of the public school children do. They get a good hour's worth of learning, would you say?
So it just depends on the age. So right now,
depends
Chloe,
on the age and what you're teaching them.
I would say our school time traditionally is 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Once 11 a.m. hits, they're done. I'm done. The rest of the day is ours. There's going to be natural learning involved, where we go on a walk and see the birds. We identify trees. Schooling only lasts for a couple hours, and of course, as they get older, that's going to be more intense. But it's still not going to be anywhere between 6, 7, 8 hours of schooling, along with homework.
Yeah.
And the thing is that we know that in public schools, so much time is wasted waiting. I mean, we both attended public school. The majority of my day was waiting around for a teacher to get started, for a transition to happen, for
I got kicked out of the class most of the time and never learned anything. So.
And that's true. So we're gonna get into let's just get into what she's saying here in the article, and we can respond. Homeschooling, she says, not only violates children's rights to a meaningful education. Let's just stop right there. A meaningful education. So in my book, a meaningful education is an education that teaches children not only reading, writing, and arithmetic, but also how to be a functional member of society, that develops morals, values, that they understand how to be a husband or wife, they understand how to be a mother or father, they understand how to be a good friend, a good sister, brother, son, daughter. I'm just saying that meaningful education is a well-rounded education. It's not just math, reading, writing, and stuff like that. However, the homeschool children that I know are coming out with even the scholastic stuff being way above and beyond most schooling that's happened. At least I know that when I was a straight A student, but I did not actually retain anything I learned. I just educated myself enough to pass the test with an A. And so I was always teaching myself to the test. There was no critical thinking involved. And then Ryan here was Mr. Y, and how did you do in school?
That doesn't turn out so well. If you were somebody who really wants to know the why and the how to everything, you become the disruptive kid in the class. You become the one that the teacher doesn't have time for because she's got 30 other students to deal with. Right after meaningful education, this is in the same sentence here, and the right to be protected from potential child abuse may be kept, but may keep them from contributing positively to a democratic society. Now, bing! I want you to note the first time you hear democratic. Okay, we'll talk about it at the end.
But do you want to address the
child abuse?
The child abuse part, yeah. So Matt Fradd gave a statistic, and so I don't have the sources, so I'm going to put Matt Fradd's video down below, but it was 1 in 10 children will be sexually abused in a public school situation, and that's not encountering all the emotional abuse that goes on as well. And I don't know how many people have had a teacher that has led them to feel like they weren't worth something, or that they were stupid, or that that they really were just a bother, and we just wanted you to shut up so that we could move on because I got 29 other students to teach here.
That was me. All right, so the regime of homeschooling.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, let's see. Where was that at?
Right there.
Ah, yes. So, here's another good little tidbit from her. We have an essentially unregulated regime in the area of homeschooling, Bartholet asserts. All 50 states have laws that make education compulsory, and state constitutions ensure a right to education. But if you look at the legal regime governing homeschooling, there are very few requirements that parents do anything. I don't know how you consider me and you a regime, because I don't have the authority to tell other homeschoolers what they can do.
No.
I believe all the kids going to public schools are under the thumb of the state and federal government on what they're taught. Mm-hmm. And the parents have almost no say-so. Look at the fight that happened up in Washington State over the sex ed curriculum. Those parents had to battle hard entrenched leftist politicians that are making rules under no vote whatsoever of what their children are going to learn.
Yeah.
And we're the regime.
And that's all due to Planned Parenthood and the lobbying with that sex education curricula. And so, like, talk about regimes. It's a whole level versus us being our little family wanting to raise our children a certain way and having the right, the God-given right, but also the constitutional right to educate our children as we see fit. Right. She's talking about reasons for homeschooling, and she says that up to 90% are driven by conservative Christian beliefs. But let's talk about that for a second. I mean, for us, our morals and ethics and our religious views are one of the reasons we homeschool, because I don't want my kids at 4 years old learning about sex ed. I don't want them being told that it's okay for a man to change into a woman. You know, I don't want that stuff.
Which they
being
can't,
taught.
by the way. They can't. It's impossible.
Well, I don't want them, and it's unscientific. Actually, yeah. So what's being taught in schools right now is unscientific, and it's completely driven by
leftist ideology.
Ideology. But she's accusing us of being ideologues, and it's like.
Yeah, this is why we call ourselves conservatives, because we're kind of trying to conserve values here.
Oh, and the other thing she says is that we want to remove our children from mainstream culture. Yeah, we do. I mean, all Catholics need to understand that they need to be in this world, all Christians, in this world, but not of this world. I don't want my kids out there looking at porn or dating at 14, or, I don't know, being just driven by all this, I don't know, the chaos out there of the iPhones and this social media. And
All right. So I told you to make note of every time you heard the word democracy, but we've been kind of going back and forth all over the place here. So I'm just going to pull them all right now. She mentions the word democratic or democracy 3 times, and I'll read them all right now. All right. So homeschooling, she says, not only violates children's right to a meaningful education, their right to be protected from potential child abuse, but may keep them from contributing positively to a democratic society. That's the first one. The second one, she views the absence of regulations ensuring that homeschooled children receive a meaningful education equivalent to that required in public schools as a threat to U.S. democracy. That's number 2. All right, here's the very last one. But it's also important that children grow up exposed to community values, social values, democratic values, ideas about non-discrimination, tolerance, and other people's viewpoints. Of course, except for ours.
Yeah.
All right, now, the point I want to make is you keep hearing that word democracy. First of all, democracy is nothing more than a mob mentality. It is 49% of the people that get told by the other 51% what they're allowed to do, which is exactly what she's suggesting here.
Yeah.
So, and being that she's clearly a hard leftist, I'm going to say that she's using the word democracy as code for freaking communism, because I'm basically just calling her out as a commie. Is that okay? Is that all right? Can I do that? Or you do approve?
I mean, you don't know, but sure.
No, I don't know for certain. But look at the hard left nowadays. Just look out the window, honestly, with how things are going. People are being arrested for going to the park.
Yeah.
People are being arrested for going to the beach by themselves. People are being arrested for anything. And then
stop for citing just for driving.
Right.
Things that's
the
happened.
states and the federal government are dictating to private citizens and private business when, where, and how they can conduct their business.
Mm-hmm.
So, democracy, if you think that equates to some kind of liberty, it really doesn't. It equates to a mob mentality, which is exactly what we have nowadays. End of story.
Yeah. And the other thing is, it's all driven by fear. If you read her underlying issues, her fears are that we're going to be bigoted, we're being put out children that are bigoted, uneducated, and being abused.
And Christian.
Well, that's where the bigoted comes out.
Yeah. And here's one more thing that she says that really got me. And this is how I know that she is just a fascist. Okay?
Oh, Germany, France?
Well, yeah, she does say we should do what Germany does, which is great. We should always do what Germany does. She says, from the beginning of compulsory education in this country, we have thought of the government as having some right to educate children. She literally makes the case that the government has a right to your children, has a right to your life. This is why what I was just talking about. The government really does think that. They have a right to do things for you. The government has no right to do anything for you or to you.
Does it say government by the people for the people?
Exactly. We decide what the government is allowed to do. We dictate to them. And so the people like this, is the reasons why we have the problems are right outside your front doors to this very day.
Or the fact there's nobody outside your front door right now.
Yeah, or there's nobody out there.
But really, the government is not meant to have rights over the individual. The government is there for us to serve us. And we're moving towards a socialism, communism type thing where it's like, we just want the government to take care of us. Here's my child, educate it, pump it out, make it a busy bee so that it can leave home and go work. But of course, we know that's not even the case because most kids are coming back. What's the name for those kids that come back after college? Like the boomerang, I don't know, it's like some generation name for them where they come back home.
Millennials?
But I think it's called the boomerang. Like you send them out and then they come back.
Yeah, she even makes the case that if you do it the way she wants to be done, they're going to be better members of society and actually go and get jobs and stuff. And it's like, no, they don't. Yeah. They go get $40,000, $50,000, or sometimes $60,000 debt, piled onto the top of them for a degree, and then they end up just moving back in with their parents. So they're not going out and getting jobs. And right now, nobody's having a freaking job unless they're lucky enough to be labeled as essential.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a whole other can of worms.
Yeah, that's another can of worms. All right, so then there's this one thing that you wanted to talk about. So the issue is, do we think that parents should have 24/7 essentially authoritarian control over their children? Never mind her authoritarianism.
Versus a stranger having authority or the government having authority? Like,
right.
Are you kidding
me?
From
ages 0 to 18. I think that's dangerous, Bartholet says. I think it's always dangerous to put powerful people in charge of the powerless and to give the powerful ones total authority. But not...
I mean, drop mic, right?
But not the public education system that is completely controlled by the federal government.
Yeah. Are you talking about individual rights? Most parents are struggling. Either they're not paying attention to what's happening in public schools, or they are and they're like, I don't even know what to do because this is my only choice because I'm working and I can't homeschool. And yet, for some those of us who are blessed with this ability, she wants to attack it and ban it. And let me tell you, the schools get money per child. per head in the school. And so when people come away from the school system and say, you know what, I'm going to opt out and I'm going to do homeschooling, there's other issues at play here that they don't want that child home because they're not getting the money from the federal government for that school. And then also, I think it was in New York, the governor was talking about someone was talking about wanting to ban homeschooling in New York because they wanted to make vaccination mandatory. And that's a whole other thing, but they were like, people were opting to homeschool to avoid the vaccinations, which I'm not saying I agree with, but yet it's called personal freedom.
Yeah.
And
you can't force people to do that.
You can't. It's your child.
Right.
You have the right until the child is awarded the state. It is the parents' right. It is not the property of the state.
Right. Now, at the very end of this article, she tries to backpedal a little bit by saying that there's some homeschoolers who do really good stuff and there's reasons for it. But throughout the entire thing, she paints a picture as the parents being the enemy and the, what's the organization? The Homeschooling Legal Defense Association. Okay. She tries to paint the whole homeschool thing and this organization as we're like politically powerful and that the politicians just can't crack us when they try to ban homeschooling and all this stuff. And it's what a bunch of garbage. Do any of you homeschoolers out there feel like that you're politically powerful? Or do you feel like that there's always a possibility somewhere, somehow, that the local government or the federal government is going to come down on you and tell you how to raise your child, tell you how to educate your child, and that they must be wards of the state and go into the public system and be taught that curriculum. And you have no say whether or not that curriculum is okay for them to teach. And you got no say whether or not you can pull them out of school if they start trying to teach your fourth grader how to put on a condom. Yeah. Which I learned in fourth grade.
Oh, I just wanted to say, if you are in a state that has homeschooling requirements on any level, I would look into joining the Homeschool Legal Defense Association because it is the one thing we have that does protect us, gives us some kind of ability against the government because, like Ryan said, our rights are very tenable and very fragile.
I want to say, listen, if you're one of the people that send your kids to public school and you get defensive about any of the stuff we're saying, don't. Okay, we were public school products too. Okay, and that's just why we do it. Now, if you're very happy with with the school that you send your kids to, fine, dude, keep sending them there.
Yeah, we're not
That's
saying
not
everybody
our problem.
has to homeschool.
I don't want to bother you at all.
Yeah.
Don't bother us.
Yeah. Put your comments down below. I will link the article. I mean, I hate to give her all these views, but like Ryan said, the woman who wrote the article did a very good job. She's not at all putting her personal opinion in. She's literally just reporting.
A rare occurrence of journalism.
Maybe all of Harvard Magazine is like that. I don't know.
I'm not gonna hold my breath on that one.
Okay. Well, we won't. We don't know about that one.
Harvard does have safe spaces.
Oh my gosh, safe spaces. All right. Well, we could get into that a whole other day about colleges, but for now, this is Laura and Ryan with a Ryan Responds, and let me know down below if you guys have other topics you want us to cover. I'm sure Ryan has lots of opinions about all sorts of things.
I got a whole lot of stuff just pent up inside me.
He will rant for you if you want him to.
Yeah.
So with that, you guys, God bless. Continue to know God, love God, and do God's will so we can spend eternity with Him in heaven. And I'll see you all real soon. Bye. Say bye with me.
Bye.
Bye.